Good morning and welcome to Igls in Austria. We're ready for the action Sunday morning. A slight snowfall coming down, but shouldn't be too much to affect us as we get into race number 6 of the Viessmann FIBT Women's Skeleton World Cup and the European Championships for the Women's Skeleton. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Wherever it is you're joining us from, you're very welcome to our coverage here today from outside the Olympic city of Innsbruck. Martin Haven and alongside me in the booth from the FIBT, Ben Sanford. And Ben, this Igls track, well known by everybody, but it's still tough to be perfect here.
It is. It's a very easy track to get down. It's a slow track. It's not very long, but it's a very difficult track to be fast on. And you really need to have a strong push. Corner 1, the top of the track is flat and the corners are long. Round corner 1 here into corner 2. Corner 2 is a long, easy corner. It's going to set you up for corner 3. Really important to just relax on your sled and just let the sled flow. The exit of corner 3 here can be a little bit difficult sometimes. Want to avoid that right-hand wall. Come into 4, line it up for 5. 5's going to set you up for 6, and 6 is a key corner because it's going to set you up for the Kreisel. Really need a good entrance into the Kreisel. Allow the sled to run around Kreisel, and the exit of Kreisel is incredibly important. You really need to get the middle of this track. The exit of Kreisel, the combination here in 8, 9 are the key parts on the track. The exit of 9, you're going to see a bit of action today. A lot of athletes struggle and skid in the straight between 9 and 10. 10's a big left-hand corner at the bottom of the track. This is where you have the fastest speed on the track, and then you're in the labyrinth. You're not going to pick up any more speed in the labyrinth that's flat, and now you're in corner 14 and you're crossing the finish line and into the most dangerous part of the track, which is the braking area.
Well, Marina Giardoni of Switzerland, the start record holder, didn't quite get close to that on Saturday's race. Rose McGrandle, she owns the track record from December 2013, and again they didn't get close to that. There is Marina, staying nice and warm in the snowy conditions up at the top, and Anja Huber-Selbach, the 2008 world champion. Anja, 4 times a European champion as well. Ben, what about this snow? Last week in La Plana, fully covered track for its entire length. Here, not so much. Is that going to have an effect on the race, do you think? Yeah,
definitely. The snow slows the athletes down. The track isn't going to be as well prepared today because it's snowing, so they can't spritz the track beforehand. The ladies raced yesterday and the conditions were clear, so I would expect the track to be a little bit slower. Hopefully the snowfall stays reasonably even. There's a lot of areas on the track which aren't covered, so there's going to be snow in the track, and hopefully there's not too much snow build up and the track crew gets rid of the snow quickly.
Well, leading us off will be Lizzie Yarndl of Great Britain, the Olympic champion. Yesterday, she was a race winner. Janine Flock of Austria was on the podium after leading the first heat. She was in 3rd place. She'll go off 2nd. Laura Dees will be 3rd of 19 starters. Now, the deal here in Austria is we had a different lineup in the race yesterday because they were all entered from the Igls race. These entries were all in La Plana last week when the race was called off for safety issues, and as a result, only those who were entered in La Plana get to race here today. And 2 races in 2 days, well, it's like the World Championships coming up in a couple of weeks. Lizzie Yarndl, the Olympic champion, gets our European Championships underway here. 26-year-old from Sevenoaks in Kent. I'm under strict instructions to say hello to Nanny Rita and to Sister Charlotte, and Katie as well. 5:56 getaway, well 5:25 the track record, Ben Sanford, and in these slightly snowy conditions, Lizzie might have the best of the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a crew that's looking after the ice, and they're going to be clearing away snow as the race goes on, but it's always better in a snowy race to be starting at the beginning. The track crew sometimes gets a little bit tired and they don't get rid of the snow as quickly as the race goes on. But Lizzie's a fantastic slider, like nice lines on the track so far. Really nice exit of Kreisel here. A little bit of a touch there before 9.
Much better start than yesterday, where the sled popped out of the grooves on the first run and she was only in 4th place. 120.8 kilometers an hour, that's 75 miles an hour. And again, Lizzie making it look very straightforward. There's coach Eric Benotus.
That's a really good time. That's faster than both her times yesterday, and on a snowy track early in the morning here in Igls, that's some really good sliding from Lizzie. She had a few troubles at the start, like you said, in the first heat yesterday, and today her start is good. She doesn't pop the groove. Nice load onto the sled, and she's a great slider, and that's a really good run, and that's going to be hard to beat today.
Olympic champion from 2010, Amy Williams, is on hand as well, filming for the World Championships for the BBC. So both of our last two Olympic champions in women's skeleton are here. Lizzie with a nice smile on her face. And what about Janine Flock? Led after the first heat. She was first off yesterday, and she had a really good run, really good pair of runs. It was only blistering pace from Lizzie Arnold that enabled the Olympic champion to get by her. 25-year-old on a Bromley sled. There'll be a lot more Austrian support later on. It's a very early start. This is almost like Sam Moritz, 8 o'clock in the morning start.
Yeah, it's a really early start, and so the athletes have to get up at before 6 a.m, have breakfast, get to the track, warm up, get their equipment ready, and then get ready to race. And this is a little bit of a race within a race between Janine and Lizzie, and Janine was third yesterday, and this is her home track, hometown favourite, and she's getting ready for the World Championships next year. And
she's also the defending European champion, so she won that title last year. That is up for grabs today. And yesterday, with third place, she took by 1 point the lead in the World Cup standings. I've been trying to do the arithmetic. Essentially, Lizzie Arnold needs to win the next two races with Janine basically fifth or lower in both of them for her to overhaul the Austrian girl at the top of the standings.
And this is a really nice looking run by Janine, just not quite as fast as Lizzie. But really nice lines, looking smooth and controlled on the sled, really well composed.
I could see that being good enough for second place at the end of the run. She's 18 hundredths behind, and it could well be a two-horse race here. Of course, Janine coming off her first ever World Cup win in St. Moritz 2 weeks ago. And Ben, that's a huge boost. You get that first really major scalp, and suddenly everything opens up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that knowledge that you know that you can win, that's a huge factor. That's a lot of confidence there going into the rest of the season. You see Janine around 1 and 2, looking really relaxed on the sled, coming out of 9 here. 9's a tricky corner in skeleton, one of the more tricky corners in the world, and she makes that look easy, like straight down the middle of the track into corner 10.
Been sliding down this track since she was 13 years old, getting on for half her life now, spent going down the ice here in Igls. What about Laura Dees, the former equestrian eventer from Wrexham in Clwyd? 26-year-old, great starter. Yesterday, the second run wasn't quite as strong as her first. And again, if she gets two of those together, that's going to just boost her confidence hugely.
Yeah, if she gets 2 consistent runs today, she can quite easily be on the podium.
5:33, that's a great getaway.
Yeah, that's a really strong start. She was sliding really well all week here in training and looked good in the race yesterday, maybe not so happy with her second run, but had a decent result, but she's going really well at the moment.
And the opportunity to come back the very next day and do it all again, that's got to help, right?
Yeah, it does. Like, you make mistakes in the race and it gives you another chance the second day to correct things and to race even faster.
Of course, the World Championship start at the end of February and into March.
Quite a big skid out of corner 9 now.
The World Champs always over 4 runs. Losing a little bit of speed back from 4 tenths up on Lizzie Arnold. She's just a fraction in front. 1:17.9 is nothing like enough speed. So she drops into second place in front of Janine Flock by 0.02 of a second. Now, all she can think about is that big skid below the Kreisel and those mistakes that robbed her of that speed.
Yeah, you see her coming out of Kreisel here and she just tapped the left wall a little bit. That puts her offline going into 8-9, and that makes the 8-9 combination a little bit more difficult and just too high there on the exit of 9, and that throws her across the track and sliding sideways. But she keeps her form, keeps her head reasonably well down and shoulders on the sled. Just touches that wall before she goes into 10, and that would have cost her 2 tenths maybe.
Well, that cost her the lead, definitely, but Lizzie Arnold was stunning down there in the first heat. So that's a really good slide from Laura Dees. Now, Marina Giardoni, Swiss junior world champion in bobsleigh, is a break woman. She is an explosive starter. She has speed and power on the sled. And Mickey Grunberger is one of those coaches who is happy to say, give me a sprinter and I'll make her into a slider. And that's exactly what is happening. Marina Following the Alexander Tretyakov mould, really, Ben Sanford. Blinding speed, and all she's got to do now is learn how to control pace that nobody else can deal with.
Yeah, she had her best ever result in a World Cup race yesterday, finishing 4th here in Igls, and she's so fast on the start. I think she has the start record here, and she had the fastest 2 start times yesterday, so this is going to be an interesting start to see if she can get close to her start record here.
Now, the irony of this race, of course, is that it was called off last week in La Plana. However, as the snow gets heavier, that's why we have a track hold. So what are we doing? Sweeping every 3rd athlete?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's what's happening. Every 3rd athlete, the track crew's going to go down and sweep the snow away, and so it doesn't build up too much in between athletes.
The problem is, if it takes them 2 or 3 minutes of snow sweeping, behind them, there's 2 or 3 minutes of snow in the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lose-lose situation, isn't it? If you don't sweep, there gets more snow. If you do sweep but hold the track, there gets more snow.
Yep. Yeah, Marina's been standing on the start line for a while now, so maybe she wasn't aware that they were going to be sweeping snow away before her run.
Well, she may not have been, but certainly they should have given that information to the coaches. I have a little feeling that this race won't go to 2 heats. And now that will depend on the weather, but if it continues to snow like this, I could see the European Championship might go to Sochi.
We're just really not having much luck with this European Championship
Well,
season, are we?
When things aren't going your way, they tend not to. The jury have said that they will sweep every 3rd athlete. Now, Marina's been standing there for 2 or 3 minutes. That's not good for your muscles. She's just spent half an hour studiously warming up, and now she spent 3 minutes cooling down. That's not good for quads and hamstrings.
But watch this start. She is so explosive and so fast.
And actually, with her mass and her speed, that will help her blast her way through the snow.
And she now has a reasonably clean track to slide on.
Not as quick away as Laura Dees, though. And I wouldn't mind standing if she, believing if she hadn't stood there for 2.5 minutes, she might have been.
Yeah, you might be right there.
Laura Dees in the first corner, 48.6 momentum as well. Only 48 kilometers an hour for Marina Giordani.
Marina slid really well yesterday. She had a really strong push, just like today, and slid really well. That's a nice line out of Kreisel, steering quite a bit with her toe in Kreisel.
Italian-built Hoover sled.
A little bit of a touch there before 10, but quite a nice line out of corner 10 and into 11 and to the left at the bottom of the track. Quite long on 12 there.
A little quicker than Laura Dees with speed, but behind Lizzie Arnold. And in 4th place. Well, the start wasn't what we might have expected for her, but then sometimes you go with a different strategy and you do different things.
Yeah, that was a pretty good run. I think she'll be happy with that time. She's not far off the lead. She's in 4th place. She's only the 4th slider down, but I think she's going to... I think we'll get to the end of the heat and she'll still be in the top 6 with that run.
I would think that you're probably right.
Coming out of corner 9 here, it's so important to not skid it or be too high on the exit of 9, and she does quite well. Allows the sled to run across the track. You can see her eyes just looking into the entrance of 10 to the entrance that she wants.
The eyes are the window to the soul. They're also what drives the sled. It goes where you look. At least that's the hope. Anja Huber-Selbach from Germany, the 31-year-old, 4-time European champion. Now more than 80 World Cup starts under her belt. And that's in skeleton. She was a loser from 1989 to 2003. Came over from the dark side to skeleton.
Dirk Knutschen's the German coach yelling at her to run, run, run.
Yeah.
Anja's a great athlete and been on the World Cup circuit for a long time and has so much experience. She's won medals in every kind of competition there is, and she's won here and Igls before, and she knows this track very well.
And she's a genuine joy to be around for everybody up at the top of the track in the changing rooms and on tour.
Yeah, it's going to be a strange Women's World Cup circuit with her not on the circuit next season.
Yeah. Well, she had a great result in Koenigsee in Bavaria, silver medal behind Lizzie Arnold, her last race on her home track. Can she get herself into the frame here? Only 1500s back.
It's a nice looking run so far.
Yes, it is. Better speed than Giordani and Laura Dees. Well, fifth place at the line, 0.35 back. Again, that should be a top 6 run.
Sind die bescheuert? Steht der Kameramann beim Weglaufen links neben mir?
The helmet or the sled, or she's not happy about something.
I think
maybe the visor fogged up, or
snow on the visor.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we talk about speeds not being high and being high. They're doing 75 miles an hour with your head sticking out the front, Ben. Visibility is an issue.
Yeah, and the visibility can be a really big problem when you're sliding, and it is something that athletes will control, like trying to limit how much moisture you have in the helmet. Like, you really need to be able to see where you're going, and I'm not exactly sure what she's angry about, but...
Getting off the top of the track very quickly indeed. Jay Channel from Vancouver, the 26-year-old Canadian, an accountant, but a horses and a broom. All right, well, this is
That's a disaster.
This is going from fast to disaster now. I wasn't sure whether Anya Huber was complaining about the snow and the visibility or where the crash mats weren't, making the outrun very dangerous. But a broom in the track. And Jane Channel, of course, had another run in St. Moritz when she ran over a fan's fan in the track.
I can't believe there was a broom in the track. You don't leave stuff in the track.
The irony that the race was cancelled in France for safety reasons, and now the 6th athlete down has run over a broom here in Igls.
And despite running over a broom, she's actually had a pretty decent run.
0.43 back. Now, no question she has the right to go again.
Yeah, absolutely, no question.
Absolutely, I'm sure she will. 0.43 back. But, I mean, where did, you know, what did that hit her in the head? Did she went by on the shoulder?
She looks like she's okay. Just shoulder charged the broom on the track. And
well, lucky she hit it doing 30 Ks and not 110.
So strong at the start, so fast. And then you see the groove just pull it to the left-hand side here, and bam.
Well, that's the track worker stepping out of the groove at the last possible moment. Wow.
That's really, really bad. It's just really lucky that she's okay.
Lucky it hit her in the shoulder rather than in the head. Well, if the jury didn't have enough to think about with the snow, Ben, there are extra issues now. 0.43 back. Now she's got to go and blast out a 4th start of the weekend and then a 5th one in Heat 2.
Yeah, this European Championships for the woman really just is having a couple of bad weeks. I'm really happy that she's okay, because that's very unsafe.
Absolutely. Well, next up is the woman who had the lead of the World Cup up until yesterday. Not sure what a track worker was doing in before the 6th slide, if they are supposed to sweep after every 3. Now they're sweeping before the 7th slider, Tina Hermann. 2010 Junior World Champion. Police trainee from Viessmann in Bavaria. Led the World Cup standings until yesterday.
Tina's just been so consistent in the season, just always in the top 6, and she'll be looking to win her first World Cup. Really good, really young slider. The German program is really focusing on youth and bringing new sliders into the World Cup, and they're going really well.
Well, 900s behind at the start. Good getaway for Tina. She's quite a long, rangy athlete. Now the snow does seem to have abated a little bit, not such big flakes coming down past our window or into the track. This is one of the dramas, Ben, with a snow race, is if there's no snow, the weather remains relatively constant. If there's snow, it comes, it goes, it comes, it goes. It's very hard to make it fair.
Yeah, it is. It's really difficult when it's snowing to have a fair race. But the athletes are used to it. This is a winter sport and it's an outside sport, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose with the snow. And Dirk is very happy. Dirk Martins, the German coach. That was a good run by Tina.
And rightly so. She had really good speed, good start from her, 5.65, and great speed down the track.
I haven't seen Dirk that happy in a long time.
Well, not since last night when he was ordering a second beer. So now, if she overhauls Janine Flock, she's only 1 point behind in the World Cup standings, so that run could put her back in front.
Yeah, Tina's a very good slider. Nice load onto the sled, and it's really important when you're loading onto the sled to just relax into the sled, get into position as quickly as possible. She had a nice Kreisel, nice corner 10. She did the key parts of the track really well.
Way faster than her run yesterday as well. 3900s quicker than her first trip down the track yesterday. That's a big, big change, especially given the weather. So Lynette Prediger from Canada, 35-year-old emergency room physician. Now, as some of our athletes started age 6, 10, 12, she didn't start sliding till she was 27 years old on a whim. And it suddenly took over her life. Ben, you can understand that addiction to the speed, right?
Yeah, you really do fall in love with skeleton. It's a unique feeling, and it's just a fantastic sport, and it's a fantastic feeling to be on the ice and to be sliding, and you really do fall in love with it and become quite addicted to it.
I'm not sure if any of her colleagues in the emergency room in the hospital in Calgary have ever had to attend to her after a slide, but at least she's well placed.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. 0.5 back. Speed is good.
Lynette's a good slider, and she's going to rely on the bottom of the track here to pick up the time.
The longer it is, the better it works for her. 120.7, second only to Tina Herman and Lizzie Arnold in terms of pace. 75 miles an hour and accelerating to the line. 55.13. Well, she finished in 9th place in yesterday's race. Best result of her season, 4th, just out of the medals in St. Moritz.
Yeah, she had a good day yesterday. This is a really tricky track here in Igls to pick up spots. She started in 20th, 21st spot yesterday and then finished the race in 9th, and she was happy with the result. It's a difficult track to pick up time and pick up places. It's a track where you can lose spots, but it's difficult to pick them up. Relaxes into the sled, gets the head nice and low, close to the ice. Look at her eyes just staring into corner 1, like finding the line that she wants.
Then tucks her head down because she knows she's on the right line. Same deal here on the straight.
Yeah, looking nice and relaxed on the sled. You can see her just bouncing around a bit. Really need to be relaxed and get rid of any stiffness when you're trying to drive the sled down the track.
Big sunny disposition from Lynette Prediger. Next up, Sophia Griebel, 24-year-old. 2011, she was the Intercontinental Cup champion, the second tier of sliding. 10th in the Winter Games in Sochi, 12 months ago this week. Well, Sophia's in a little bit of a slump. She had a slew of 4th places and then 10th and 13th in the last 2 races.
A little bit of steering there between 2 and 3. It's important at the top of the track to just allow the sled to run on the straights. You really just want to do your steering in the corners and let the sled run as much as possible.
Started with the same speed as leader Lizzie Arnold, but she's behind her by 1800s.
Takes the middle line into Kreisel and tracking a little bit to the right coming out of Kreisel, and that's going to make the exit at 9 a little bit difficult.
Speed is drifting away from her. She's steering quite hard to get the line she wants, Ben.
Yeah, she did well in 9 to correct the exit at 9 and save that from the entrance to 8 that she had, and nice bottom of the track around corner 14.
See the heels up, which means the knees are working hard. Dirk Matchen's going, what happened there then?
Yeah, I think she just lost a bit of time in the middle of the track from Kreisel through to the exit at 9. Apart from that, it looked like a pretty good run.
Well, Sophia Griebel at the moment started 9th, in 9th. Lynette Prediger started 8th, in 8th.
Coming out of corner 9 here, you can see her just using her right toe there to tap the ice and correct the sled. Again, digging that right knee into the sled to try and get a little bit earlier into corner 10. Nice line in corner 10. Fastest part of the track here. This is where the bottom speed trap is.
Kann nicht winken.
Smile on her face after her run.
Carrying the sled over to get weighed.
Yep. Athlete and sled get weighed separately to make sure that they're not above the weight limits. Next up is Rose McGrandle from Milton Keynes, the 27-year-old 2012 Intercontinental Cup champion. And a bit of a mention for Donna Crichton, who won the Intercontinental Cup this season for Great Britain. Dave Swift, who won the men's ICC, was racing yesterday in the World Cup race. Great runs he had for 7th place finish. And Rose, a little bit like Laura Dees, I feel. If she gets one big result, then the floodgates could open, and suddenly we could have 3 British potential winners on every track. We're waiting while the sweeping goes on.
Yeah, it's such a good British program, and they just keep on turning out great sliders. And Rose, like Laura, just needs one good result, I think, and then they'll have the confidence to be competing and getting medals week after week.
2 6th places in Calgary and Lake Placid to start the season. Best result in Europe, 8th in Altenburg and 8th in St. Moritz. 8th yesterday, rather. So the double race weekend format. 2 heats on one day, 2 on the next. That'll be the World Championships in a couple of weeks' time. 3 weeks' time, in fact, in Winterberg in Germany.
Just using the toe a little bit there to get the line into corner 1. Corner 2 is a long right-hand corner. It's going to send you down the straight into the corner 3, which is a long left-hand corner.
Another very quick starter, 5:44 and 48 kilometers an hour. That's really good speed in the first corner.
Nice line through 4, 5. Taking the late line into 6. Into 7, sorry. A bit of a touch there. She came out of Kreisel.
That's going to put her in the red at the next clock. She was 1,500 up on Lizzie Arnold.
Really nice line out of 9 into 10.
Lizzie had 100 kilometers an hour speed there. So did Tina Herman there, 1 and 2. 120 at the bottom. That's really good speed. Tina Herman 121.1. 3rd place for Rose McGrandle. So Yarnold leads, Herman 2nd, Dees 3rd, McGrandle 3rd. Great Britain have 3 athletes in the top 3, and there's a German slider in there as well.
Wow, that's quite an interesting top 3.
4 in the top 3, but wow.
Yeah, she had quite a hit there on the coming out of the finish corner. See her coming out of Kreisel here. She just doesn't quite get that steer right. Hits the wall as she takes an exit of Kreisel. And here, a lot of athletes steer it quite hard out of the final curve. They want to cross that finish line as close to the left wall as possible, and she maybe just steered a bit too hard and just slammed herself into the wall.
Well, if she hadn't, she might have been tied with Tina Herman for 2nd place instead of teammate Laura Dees for 3rd. Lizzie Arnold leads after the first 10 of our 19 sleds here in Igls. Coach Willi Schneider lays the sled on the ice for the first of our 3 Russians. This is Maria Orlova of Russia, 26-year-old. First World Cup win of her career came in Altenburg in Germany. And Willi Schneider, talking to him last night over dinner, saying that he convinced Maria that she would win, not could, would win. So trust me, you will win. And he was right.
The Russian athletes had a disappointing day yesterday in the women's race, and it was surprising. Their lines look good. They have good starts, but they just didn't really seem to have the pace on the track.
86.9, that's good speed.
Yeah, this is a nice run by Maria. Nice exit of Kreisel. Gets into 9 nice and early. A little bit of trouble there on the exit.
Still 2,300s up. 99 kilometers an hour, not as quick as Lizzie Arnold, the race leader, but she's going to challenge. Wow, we're going to have a really tight top 3 or 4 here because Oliver is right in the mix. 700s back.
This is some really close, tight racing, and she's really happy with that run.
And that's what we expect from Igls. It's short, it's straightforward, it's really hard to make a massive difference. It's always tight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like, really tight times on this track. You need that push at the start, and you see her in corner 10 here, just moving around on the sled a little bit, like shoulders up, steering with her knees. But even though like she wasn't looking that good on the sled, like it was still a good run, and she allowed the sled to run, and when you allow it to run, you gather speed and momentum.
Now, Maria Oliver didn't race yesterday. Olga Potylitsina was in the World Cup race instead. She was actually on her way back in Moscow to Sochi when they had the call that the Europa Cup race was being rescheduled for this week, turned around in Moscow to come back and do this race. And it was well worth it. She lies second as teammate Yelena Nikitina, the Olympic bronze medalist and three-time winner 2 years ago on this Igls track, gets underway. Wow, 5:39. That's a big start from her as well.
Yeah, Elena's a great athlete and really fast at the start. A little bit of a rough exit from the groove there, just throwing her to the left.
Just 22 years old. And Willi Schneider said he picked her from her stats on a piece of paper, having never met the athlete, said, I want this girl in the training camp. All the Russian coaches said, no, 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 she's not ready, she'll never be any good. Bang, she came in like a scalded cat into the World Cup.
Yeah, she did. Like, she came into the World Cup and she was on the podium nearly straight away. She's such a fast sprinter and such a good athlete, and she's really been able to transfer that over to starting scales.
Losing a little bit of speed down at the bottom, she's going to drift away from the race lead, but she is going to be in contention as well. Drops from the lead into 9th place at the line. Thomas Bladser muttering under his breath there as they walk out of the coach's box. Well, that was a run of two halves, wasn't it? The top half was brilliant, and when the speed got up, it all just got a little away from her.
Yeah, I think she had a bit of a disappointing day yesterday, and again today, just not really carrying that momentum from the start down to the bottom of the track.
She's got that, what do I need to do, look on her face.
Good turnover at the start, good contact with the ice. Nice pushing position. Not the most smooth load onto the sled, a little bit sideways. And you can see her coming out of the groove there, and the groove just pushes her to the left, and she's trying to correct that and get into corner one as soon as she can. And that's a really annoying way to start your run. You come out of the groove and instantly you're dealing with a problem.
And mentally, does that chase you down? Are you still thinking about that when you should be thinking about other things? How hard is it to forget that issue?
Well, these athletes are the best skeleton athletes in the world, and so they should be able to get over that and move on pretty quickly and refocus on the run.
Well, what little snow there is coming down, being swept away fairly quickly after Yelena Nikitina, as Annie O'Shea of the USA gets ready to go. The build-up of the bottom part of the track isn't really going to affect the athletes. Unlikely to be way down there by the wall. If you are, it's probably not the snow that's your biggest issue, Ben Sanford.
Yeah, if you're hitting the wall there, you're in a lot of trouble.
Quite a lot of pain. The Lycra hides a lot, but it doesn't protect you a lot, does it? There, you can come off these tracks looking pretty black and blue.
Yeah, you can. There's no padding, it's just Lycra and skin.
Annie O'Shea of the USA with her unique helmet without a kind of lower chin piece. NBA student from New York State. Started sliding age 16. So this is now her 10th year being a slider.
Yeah, Annie has quite a bit of experience competing around the world. A little bit of a late line there going into corner 3. Nice line from 3 into 4. You really want to be down the middle there. Good line into 6, which is going to set you up for the Kreisel here. And it's so important to get the Kreisel. Really need to get the exit here.
I would say she's looking a little sleepy at breakfast this morning, but...
Slight touch when she came out of Kreisel, but nice line into 9. Can she get the exit?
Not far away from the lead either. 98.1, better speed than Yelena Nikitina we've just seen. 118.3, same as the Russian.
Using her toes a little bit in the bottom of the track to get back online.
55-11 slide. So we see a lot of this, that you kind of come down in your start position almost. Annie O'Shea in 11th ahead of Lynette Prediger and Sophia Griebel, who had a bit of a disastrous run, Sophia.
Yeah, one of the features of the track here is that you often finish with your start time. So if you have the fastest start, you're quite often likely to be the fastest slider.
We heard Coach Zach Lund there giving Annie the time, and her reaction, really that slow? I was slightly surprised it was only a 5:51 as well.
Exeter Kreisel. Decent Exeter Kreisel, just touches the wall slightly before corner 8.
We're better than yesterday so far. All right, there you go. Pick the bones out of that. Well, next up for the Netherlands is 27-year-old Jos Leconte, former pole vaulter. We talked yesterday, Ben, about this new Bromley sled she's had for the last couple of races. And this is what you need. 2 days sliding consistently on the same track to really dial yourself in to what it needs on this Igls ice.
Yeah, the more training you do on the track, the more racing you do on the track, and especially when you have a new sled, the more comfortable you're going to be on your new sled on the track. Joska really seems to be doing well on this Bromley sled. Had her best ever result in Koenigsegg recently, and that's a really big confidence booster for her here in the European Championships, and also going to Winterberg, which would be her home track. It's not in the Netherlands, but it is the Dutch home track.
In the Dutch Alps, as we always say. Lots of orange there in the crowd, as there always is.
Oh, that's a really late line going into 8. That's going to make 9. Yeah, late into 9.
Not a bad exit, though. Tidies it up on the straight, but what did it cost her in terms of pace? A little quicker than Annie O'Shea with speed, 119 kilometres an hour. That's not bad. She's going to be in the top 10. 11th place ahead of O'Shea. 13th at the line, so it did cost her in the end. And again, crashing into those crash pads at the bottom, grinding along the wall.
Yeah, it can be really nasty there, crashing into the pads and the concrete wall at the bottom of the track at the same time. Coming out of 9 there, she's done well in 9 to save that. She went into the corner late, and that makes the exit really tricky. You can see her in corner 12 here, just using her toe a little bit. She knows that she's going in late and she's going to be long on the corner, so she's trying to get it off as soon as she can. Just skidding a little bit there as she goes into 13. It's really flat down the bottom of the track, and any mistakes are just going to cost you time.
We see that, don't we? Sometimes you be in front in the labyrinth and way behind at the line and go, well, hang on a minute, where did that go? And there's your answer. 26-year-old from Denver, Colorado, Savannah Grable, graduate student. She works at the High Peaks Resort in Lake Placid. Familiar to a number of the TV crew. Protostar sled, the US sled builders. 5:69 getaway.
She gets a nice exit from the groove there. A few of the athletes have been struggling with that, but she goes straight, and straight is what you want.
Yet another World Cup rookie, so many this year.
Yeah, it's really interesting this season, seeing all these new sliders on the World Cup. And a lot of people finished after the Sochi Olympics, and it's fantastic to see new people coming on and doing so well.
Well, we had a big drop-off after 2002. Lots of athletes kept in the sport just to have that chance at the Millennium Games. And then after Sochi, another 3 cycles in, another big drop-off. 98.4 kilometres an hour, but
a lot of problems in corner 9 there.
Very loose, to say the least. This is going to leave her at the tail of the field. Well, 2/3 of the track was good. Doesn't have to worry about making the cut. There are only 19 sliders, so she will go again. However, she might be the first on the ice.
Yeah, you have to remember that these are the best skeleton sliders in the world, and so they're making it look easy, but skeleton is a really difficult sport, and things can go wrong really quickly, and she just had a bad exit of 9 here. 9 is a tricky corner. It's a 1.5 pressure corner. You don't really want to get that second pressure, and she just gets lifted up, and yeah, she's on her side, and you'll see the right runner here just nearly touching the wood there. the right run and just comes down and slams into the ice. And yeah, she's definitely making it exciting.
She is. I was driving my car last week in La Plana on the heavily snowy roads at 50 kilometers an hour, thinking, okay, this is about as quick as I want to go. And there they are doing 110 Ks, 120 Ks head first. Just puts it into perspective just how fast these corners are coming up at you. Lizzie Arnold of Great Britain is our race leader in the first heat, but what a race we've got. Maria Oliver, Tina Hermann, Laura Dees, Rose McGrandle, and Janine Flock of Austria, all within 1800s. This is going to be an insane second heat for the European Championship title. And all of the top 8 are European sliders. In fact, all of the top 9, Jane Channel of Canada in 10th place is the first non-European. 16th of our 19 sliders this morning, Lauda Pregelena from Latvia, the 21-year-old from Sigulda. Sochi, her first Winter Games appearance 12 months ago. We head back there, at least some of us head back there next week. Some of the athletes won't be going there. The Aussies are going to stay here in Igls and train up for another week and then go to St. Moritz. British bobsleigh, after they finish here today, will head to a holding camp in Koenigsegg, just as they did before the Winter Games last year, to prep for the World Championships.
Latvia really is making the sliding sports their own. The Dukas brothers in the men's field and the Latvian bobsleigh team. Lauda's coming on really well in the women's field.
5:46, a tenth faster than our race leader, Lizzie Arnold. Well, like yesterday, Ben, when Janine Flock was first out of the shed and led all the way through the first heat, Lizzie appears to be doing the same.
Yeah, Lizzie had a good run straight off the bat, and it's going to be very hard for people to beat her today.
Very good speeds from Lauda so far.
Yeah, Lauda's looking good here. That's a really nice hit to the Kreisel.
Still 100th in front of the Olympic champion.
Nice line through 9. Just taking a little bit of a tap there before corner 10.
Speed's dropping away a little. She'll be in the red at the next clock. 1:17 is 2.5 kilometers an hour down on Lizzie Arnold. But is she going to be in the top 6? 11th at the line. That's what happens when all the speed goes away. Lizzie Arnold actually gets quicker at the bottom of the track, where, ooh, big clonk on the wall from the sled. Lauda got slower down there.
She did, but that's an improved run from yesterday.
She dropped from the lead into the Kreisel, down to 11th place. But yeah, that was a much better run.
Nice start here from Lauda. Gets that final step nice and close to the sled, allows you to push even further forward. Gets into position quickly.
A tenth faster than the race leader and only 1300ths off the fastest starter, Laura Dees. That's a very competitive getaway from her.
And this is the most dangerous part of the track. Yeah. Hitting the pads at the bottom, and you see her just go over the pads and straight into that concrete wall, and you're still going pretty quick, and then she gets jammed against that concrete wall, and it's got these rough ice patches on it.
31-year-old Svetlana Vassilieva of Russia. The Muscovite looked really all at sea yesterday, had no kind of expression on the face that she had any way of explaining what had gone wrong with her runs.
Yeah, not the most ideal lines at the top of the track at the moment, steering quite a lot in 2 and 3. Nice line from 3 into 4.
Again, starting faster than the race leader, Lizzie Arnold, so she's still in front.
Taking quite an early line into Kreisel.
Quicker than Lauda Pregelena, who we've just seen. She's behind.
Really nice middle section of the track there.
And it shows in the speed, 98.1 kilometers an hour, 61, 73.5, 118.1, 2K shy of Lizzie Arnold. Top 10 run. Vassilieva, no, 13th at the line. Wow, I mean, you mentioned 2 or 3 runs ago how much you can lose in the lower labyrinth, and her speed was going away very dramatically there.
Yeah, she just hit the line. She hit the wall right before the finish line, and she also had a little bit of trouble in corner 12, and the bottom of the track is so flat, and any mistakes down the bottom, you're just going to be losing time.
Well, she went from 100th up at the Kreisel to 6/10 behind.
She took the early line into Kreisel, which some of the athletes do, and The Exeter Kreisel was okay.
Well, we have confirmation that Jane Channel is having her rerun. Now, usually that would be after everybody else has gone. Why they've slotted her in before Maria Matsalou and Jacqueline Narracott, I'm not entirely sure. Ben, as the Vice President for Legal Affairs, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so the jury can put her into the race as soon as possible. As soon as she's ready, if she's at the top of the track, they can insert her into the race.
So this now deletes her first run. This is start number 4. She will go for a 5th heat in the second run.
And thankfully, there's no brooms in the track there.
I think there would be all sorts of agonies going on if there was. 5:38, that's a blinding start. Only 500 slower than Laura Dees. No snow, no brooms. Well, there was no question, 4,300's off in the first run. She had to have another run.
Yeah, and this is looking really good, really strong start. The snow's not coming down as much as it was before, and nice lines.
And the issue is to put it all behind you know, the discomfort and the annoyance, and really concentrate on this. 96 full speeds, chopping away a little.
A little bit of a touch there out of corner 10 and long on corner 12.
And I'm afraid our timing screen won't tell us where she is on the run either. 14th place, is that right? 55.15. Well, that was a throwaway because the first one was, she was only 4,300s behind. I'm afraid the timing screen's not playing ball, and she's 6,300s back. So that was considerably a worse run. That did not work for her at all.
Yeah, and that's always the gamble with taking a second run like that. She had a good first run, apart from the broom being in the track and the disaster at the top there, but the rest of the run was really good. See her just correct, like taking something out of her shoe there.
Bit of shoe goo off the toes.
So powerful and fast off the start line. Really good leg turnover.
Great start, 5:38, very explosive. And like Lizzie Arnold, she's got mass on the sled as well, but this is where it all starts to go wrong, Ben.
Yeah, Exeter Kreisel just touching the wall as she came out of Kreisel. So important to be smooth on the Igls track. Any walls you touch are going to cost you time.
Okay, not quite sure why they're sweeping now. We've had 16 sliders down, and that's not a multiple of 3. And even if you count Jane Chandler as the 17th, that's still not divisible by 3. It should be every third athlete, should be after 15 and after 18.
I'm glad you're doing the math and not me.
Should have been after Maria Matsalou, but I'm assuming that they're counting Jane Channel again, so she will be the 18th trip down, which is good news for Maria Matsalou, who had her best ever World Cup result yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good day for the Romanian skeleton sliders yesterday. Doran in the men's field had his best ever result. Maria had her best ever result.
And she gets to come and do it again. Well, they're all wearing a patch for the holiday resort at Sinaia, where they formerly had a natural track in Romania.
I actually think that's where Maria is from.
Yeah. Coach Willy Schneider, also born in Romania. German-speaking area that was ceded to Romania after the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed. And on a Willy Schneider sled, ironically enough. 5:44 getaway, just 100 slower than the woman who went before her, Svetlana Vasilieva. And still quicker than Lizzie Arnold, so she's in the lead.
And Maria's got to be confident in this after yesterday's race. Her best ever result. She likes the track here, she comes here a lot. Nice lines on the top of the track, looking nice and relaxed on the sled.
86.7, speed dropping away behind the leader, so the gap comes down. Be down into single digits, especially after that hit on the wall.
A little bit of a tap and trying to correct it. Quite a nice line into 10.
98.2 is not bad speed at all. This is a 7th place run at the moment, 1:19.0. This is good speed. Could she be in the top 10 here at the line? 8th place for South.
Marius, the Romanian coach, he's looking happy.
The Romanians, can we come back here again tomorrow? Can we aim for top 6? What a great first round from Maria Matsalou.
Yeah, I think she might have been a little bit disappointed. Like, she obviously was over the moon getting her best ever result yesterday, but I think she was fast in training, and I think she wanted a little bit more, and she knows that she can be in the top 10. And coming out of Kreisel here just taps a little bit, and you can see her trying to balance herself on the sled.
All she's got to do is go out and do it again in the second run.
Yeah, and it wasn't the best run from Maria. She made a few mistakes, but she allowed the sled to run, and she didn't overcorrect things, and she's in the top 10, and that's great.
Look at the smile on her face after she came down the track. Loving life right now. And our last slider, and her last World Cup race this weekend for Jacqueline Narracott of Australia. 24-year-old from Brisvegas in Queensland. She will stay here next week to do more sliding in Igls. And then the Aussies move on at the end of the week to St. Moritz. Tough life for some. Boxing kangaroo on the helmet. 5.90. Well, she didn't make the cut yesterday, 21st place. She was very ill in St. Moritz, didn't make the cut there either. Barely made it down the track at all.
Just taking a little tap there from 3 to 4. Scraping the wall out of 5 into 6. The Australian skeleton program has changed enormously since last season. The women's program was really well funded, and the AIS was right behind them. They pulled out, and now what you see is athletes just doing skeleton because they love it, and they're spending all their money to do it.
Same as the Canadians, it is entirely self-funded. They're looking desperately for sponsors to help them keep going, other than the bank of mum and dad. 55.82. So Jacqueline Narracott behind Savannah Grable in 19th place, but she will get a second heat. So more ice time for her.
See Doran there, the Romanian slider, running to help her with the sled.
Well, the Romanians, compared to the Australians, probably feeling like a little bit less of a minor nation now, that they at least have a little bit of funding.
Jacqueline just exiting Kreisel there, taking that tap on the left-hand wall. So important to be clean when you come out of Kreisel, and that just allows the sled to run and pick up speed through the middle section of the track.
Lizzie Arnold, first out of the shed, first to the bottom of the track, and still leads the race. But what a race we have on our hands. The Olympic champion with 5 rivals within 1800ths of a second. She will go last on this snowy morning in Innsbruck in Austria to try and win race number 4 of the season and the European Championship title. Janine Flock of Austria defends that title. She lies in 6th position, the last of our podium contenders, possibly Maria Giardoni from Switzerland, probably too far away. But what a race we've got. 700s, 800s, 1600s and 1800s back are the remainder of the top 6. 19 sliders all down, and they will go again in the second heat. Jane Channel of Canada, unfortunately, her second run after she hit a broom at the top of the track did not work out in her favour. So join us again at 8:15 Greenwich Mean Time, 9:15 Central European, whatever o'clock it is in the morning or the depths of the night, wherever you are. Ben Sanford and me, Martin Haven, will be back with the second and deciding heat in the European Championships from Austria.